Hello. Well, congratulations, Kevin. You are the winner of the 11-second club, and your piece is really fun. It's just what I love about the shot in broad terms is the simplicity of it. Here you have very controlled staging, and I think with how you're dealing with within the confines of the staging, I think you're doing a really good job, and it's a choice piece of dialogue because there's some nice inflections in it. But before we get into that, just let you know a little about myself. My name is Mike Belzer, and I'll be doing your critique today. I've been animating, gosh, 20 plus years now, and got my first break way back in '87 working on a Gumby TV show. I had done puppet animation pretty much since I was just a kid, and that's how I got my break into the business, doing commercials and TV shows, eventually get into feature films like Nightmare Before Christmas, James and the Giant Peach. It was in between those that I got my first taste with computer animation over at Pixar, and it was just, wow, it was a lot of fun. So I kind of just have bounced around a little between the puppet and computer there, but then I landed down at Disney, where I'm currently working, and I've been there for the past 11 years. Most recently, I was the anim soup on Meet the Robinsons, and right now I'm animating on our upcoming film Bolt, which is coming out this November. So, yeah, it's a wild ride in terms of animation. It's a lot of fun, and just seeing pieces like this really kind of help push that along. I've been part of the animation mentor community from the beginning, and I really enjoy being part of seeing everybody grow, and it just helps put things to the front of my mind too, choice of acting, as well as just basic mechanics and stuff like that. So let's take a look at your piece, and then we'll start talking about it.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The director has actually torn up a huge section of my music. But it's perfect as it is. I can't... It's unbelievable. The director has actually torn up a huge section of my music.
That's what's so choice about it.
But it's perfect as it is. I can't rewrite what's perfect.
So I'd say, in a nutshell, you got the basic framing of what you got working pretty well. Where I would say, in a general note, what needs to be pushed is just general attitude. I think where he's feeling very compassionate and almost angered, to really kind of showcase that, and then also just body attitude changes between that and just the compassionate part where he's just like, oh no, the forlorn, just really seeing and feeling that attitude change, kind of more in an extreme nature, I think would help pump up your piece a little bit. When I hear dialogue, and you're probably the same way, the thing that I'll do is I'll listen to it repeatedly and pick out the points that are kind of the buttons of the shot, the accents. And one in particular that I'm really hearing here that I don't see you taking advantage of, let's hear it one more time.
It's unbelievable. The director has actually torn up a huge section of my music. But it's perfect as it is.
Right there, that attitude change.
I can't rewrite what's...
And when you look at
Which section of my music?
Here, you basically come, I can't believe that I want to rewrite this section of my music, and he's contemplative at this point, and then the attitude change happens.
But it's perfect.
But it's perfect as it is, and yet the body has no change in attitude. There's a perfect time, a perfect example of, even in a subtle way, where you can get a shift. But let's take it from the beginning and just sort of look at where you are coming here. So I think right off the bat, your staging is very nice. It's very clear. It's very direct in terms of what's happening. You have a nice eye line going right here, good silhouette of your character here and here. It all plays really nicely in terms of what's showing on.
It's unbelievable.
Now, as he goes in for the grabbing the pencil and coming in here, it does feel a little linear, just in terms of both head direction and hand, and they both kind of arrive at the same time. And that's on real subtle levels. That's where just introducing a little bit more arc in the hand, perhaps even tilting over the head, just giving a little cock, and continuing to push in actually 6 frames past when the hand actually arrives, just so it doesn't feel like it's perfectly tweened at the same timing. That is going to just help build up a little bit more contrast within the shot. And that's where, again, the contrast is what, in terms of body attitude, what we're talking about is contrast. You just want to see kind of this, to really exaggerate it, kind of up here, and then just really slumped up down here, versus just sort of staying here and here. It's a very controlled movement, and it's not to say you never want to deal with controlled movements, but especially in animation, the stronger the contrast, especially when you have choice bits where you can actually show that expression change, that's when you want to capitalize on it. So on a minute level, where you want to play with contrast is just so little movements like this where the head and the hand kind of come in at the same time, just break that up a little bit. You know, again, I would probably just angle this head down a little bit more, maybe getting this. I like the direction in terms of how he's looking here, but I think you just want to play that up a little bit more.
It's unbelievable.
And as he gets to this point, now the expression on the face, he just goes right here. It'd be nice to, you know, you have the squinty eye coming on in, and that's good. You just got the brows and this is all fine and good. But as he gets into the right before, you know, that realization, that moment of thought, if just for a few frames, you're just to lift up the brows a little bit, just open up the eyes a little bit more, where you're gonna feel and see just a slight little thought pattern, a little elation of the eyes, and then you go on down for your compression here, and then you go up into your open eye. But there you want that spark of thought that's happening across the character's brain, just that moment before you're dealing with that bit of dialogue, because that is a thought change. He's going in to do something, and he's like, wait a second, this is crazy, and then he's going to go into whatever he's talking about. And just to see that little reaction in the face, and then going down, it's going to be and that's where the subtlety is so choice. It's going to be so small, but it's really going to help push that expression all the more.
It's unbelievable.
Okay, and now once you come into here, your pose in here, this is fine, because I'll call this kind of your neutral pose. It's kind of straight up and down. You got here, you know, your silhouette. It's still reading, but he's gone back from where he is. That's all fine and good, but it's just sort of like what's going on here? And
the director is actually...
You know, it's a heavy sigh, it's a heavy breath. You know, rather than just slump down slightly and bringing the head on down, you know, you could really play with angle. You know, maybe twist the character around a little bit more this way, bringing the shoulder back a little bit, bringing the shoulder around perhaps, still bringing the head down, coming on slumping here, basically keeping what you have, but just giving a little bit more dimensionality to the character. Right now there's a lot of just little controlled motions, kind of in, you're not using just one axis, but I'll call it one axis, that there's not a whole lot of shape change that's happening within your character's silhouette, or torso rather. So that's something you just want to look at and explore. So I think the first opportunity is...
It's unbelievable.
You know, just as you do this, you know, bringing the head, again, instead of straight up and down, perhaps looking to just giving the character a little bit more like this. Fingers across the face, hand. So you're kind of still doing what you're doing. Shoulders maybe a little bit more over here. But you're getting a bit more centerline twist that's happening. And then you have somewhere then you're going to go back to as you kind of swing around into this next line.
The director is actually torn.
That he can go up into this, which is nice, because now it's you know, it's a bit more back into your neutral pose. But you kind of coming over here, the director is taken, and you've come up into somewhere, as opposed to just here and here. Again, it's that little controlled movement. You want to open that up if you can. One of the curses in CG is contact, and you're really pushing it here, and that's good because you're not being fearful of trying to make contact with things. And as far as the fingers on the face, it's difficult because you got a nice hand shape here. I really like the posing that you have in here, but as much as you can, just try to feel that weight of if I'm going to hold here and just say, oh, the director is doing this. It's like my hand isn't going to just necessarily, and my hand shape is not exactly, excuse me, what you had here. It's, you know, but just to feel that weight, just kind of tugging down on the head a little bit more. That little attention to detail would really sweeten up that contact. It just feels
unbelievable.
a little safe.
The director.
It's going right into the pose, and it's just sort of here, and I'll deliver my line as opposed to here, and it's like, because if you're really truly grabbing your face, and the weight of your arm is actually going to be pulling your cranium forward. So you want to, you know, play with that, feel that. You know, maybe a little, the flesh on the nose is actually, without moving that nose, it's going to actually slip. So the hand is actually going to drop down in relationship. But then keep it there. You know, don't have it, it's hard to not have it swimming around, but there's a little bit of swimming going on with the contact of what's happening to the bridge of the nose. But I like the acting choice. I think it's really nice. I also really enjoy how you're keeping the eyes closed, because that's just a contemplative thought that you're just, I'm inward searching. That's really great.
It's unbelievable. The director is actually...
So again, you know, really showing somewhere that you're going. You know, come around a little bit more. As he comes up for that second breath and he's about to deliver his dialogue, that's where you could kind of come back into where you have it.
The director has actually torn up a huge section of my...
Also the little outward gesture with the chin and the director, there's a snootiness to it. I like that. I think that could be pushed a little bit more even.
The director has actually torn up...
It's the director, just a little stronger anticipation. The director, you know, coming around. Right now it's pretty subtle. You know, if you were to wind up a little bit, bringing the chin, say, over into this realm. So you're still keeping everything you have. Hand is just going to follow on over just a little bit. And then you swing here into your, just the director, you're just going to have that little bit of snap with the head. Again, just those touches of contrast to help break it out of the normal movements, or the subtle little variance that you might have in there, is really going to just help push and accentuate your piece.
The director has actually torn up a huge section. It's unbelievable. The director has actually torn up a huge section of my music.
All right, now when you get
The director has actually torn up a huge section of my...
Here's where the first big attitude change happens. You know, it's like, I can't believe that director, the director has removed a section of my music. A section, that word section, that's great, and that's you're doing the accent. You're opening the eyes here. You're bringing the hand away. Great, but look at your body and what's happening here.
The director has actually torn up a huge section of...
Other than just this little recoil you have here, there's not a whole lot going on. And if I'm playing around with that, it's like, oh, I can't believe this director's, you know, wants to remove a section of the music. It's just a stronger reaction, just a, and again, what happened to my body? I'm tilting back up. So if you were just to, right now, you kind of have this C shape happening. Almost go for a reversal. You know, it doesn't have to be a real strong reversal at this point, but if the head kind of is back into here, you know, still keeping what you have going on with the fingers. Shoulders still can be here, but it's showcasing just a little bit more attitude back this way, and it's a bit more defiant to come back like this and just like, gosh darn you, as opposed to just really kind of keeping all very subtle. And again, I draw in extreme poses, and it's basically an interpretation just to really showcase it. It's not to say hit this pose exactly by any means, especially by the look of my thumbnails. but thank goodness I landed in that puppet world where I didn't have to learn to draw 2D. But it's very helpful just to see lines of action and posturing and how you can get certain reversals out of it.
The director has actually torn up a huge section of my music.
And again, then if you're thinking in terms of that,
They torn up a huge section.
Really kind of getting the eye line kind of down, head kind of coming on back here. Actually, hang on, I got a better tool than what my drawing is. But if you kind of get it down, coming down like this, and the hand too, although I like the pose, here's a great opportunity to section, really kind of square off that into more of a fist, and really kind of feel a little bit more force in what's happening here. Again, if your shoulder comes on back here, because pumping out the chest a little bit, driving this back, shoulder back in here. But you feel a little bit more empowered by coming this way. Hand coming off into this direction, more powerful.
My music. But it's perfect as it...
And then when he gets into
my music,
that section of my music, and when he says my music, there is a subtle change happening there, and that's where facially you can actually just sort of lighten him up. Again, it's kind of a thought process from I'm angry, really show the contorted face to my music. It's a little bit more subtle, and then the exhale, which brings you back down
of my music.
And now you come back down into where you have it, which is a nice arc this way. It feels a little just downtrodden, which is what you're wanting to accomplish here. He's just feeling a little beat up at this point. So just showing that contrast, going from one to the other, just as a general note through your piece, that's where the framing is all there. It's just pumping up those shapes and playing up the contrast where you can.
But it's perfect as it is.
All right, now when you get into, but it's perfect where it is, you come on down into this pose, and here's the perfect opportunity. Don't wait for the dialogue to be delivered before you start playing with shapes, both with face and eyes. You have that dead silence. That dead silence is animation gold in the right hands. If you're just waiting for the dialogue, and that's where I'm going to do my expression change, and that's where I'm going to start moving my mouth, it's opportunity lost. Just here with the dialogue again.
But it's perfect as it is.
But it's perfect. As you kind of come on down, he took my music away, and he's kind of down here, and then my face just feels like it's going to go, kind of like lighten up, kind of almost like I'm searching around, like what? But it's perfect as it is. There's a whole expression change, a beat or two before I deliver that dialogue. The compression of the lips too. But it's perfect. I'm not going to just keep my mouth slightly agape. But it's perfect because of how the line is delivered. There's such angst in that voice right there. You just want to feel that the confusion going on, the eyes darting around a little bit more, the searching. That's what I'm trying to get across. It's that searching, that feeling of what's going on here. The eyes kind of darting around, the compression of the lips, but it's holding that B. The sound B doesn't happen until those lips are released. So to show that compression, a good 8 to 20 frames to really kind of push that B, and then you're going to sell it. Then you're going to feel that change, because right now you have an expression, but then what? There's not a whole lot of expression change that's happening right there, and that to me, this is the gold star. This is the moment that you really could show the actors, the characters acting, the thought process right here, just when that moment of silence. That's that internalizing, showing the face lighten up, getting those eyes to dart around, just looking eyes, they just had the very linear, jetting little quality to them, and especially when you know, when I'm talking to you right now, I'm fixated on this little camera. But as you're kind of thinking about something, and it's like your eyes tend to just dart around and search for what that thought is. You want to show that with the character. That's where it can happen. So here's a part where the body still can remain calm. You could have a slight little change that's happening, you know, kind of a welling up, as it were, but show that face. That's where you're going to get just the eyes just brightening up, the eyes darting around, the compression in the B, and then deliver that dialogue.
But it's perfect as it is.
But it's perfect as it is. And then, you know, that might be, again, you have this C happening within your shape, but it's perfect as it is. As I say that line, I just feel my whole posture going from, you know, you're kind of downtrodden here, but it's perfect as it is. There's just sort of a lift, oh, but don't you understand, it comes up, and then it could come back down. So keeping what you have here, after that dialogue ends, but it's perfect as it is, then down into where you are. But as he delivers that, but it's perfect, go ahead and just, not saying you got to go with this big strong shape that, you know, I was talking about before, where it's just, you know, way over here, like, whoa, but just lightening them up a bit.
Music. But it's perfect as it is. But it's...
Even if you just straightened them up, just get that spine straight, maybe the head is going to just tuck back a little bit. So you're here, keeping everything the same, everything else is fine, but this is just gonna, it's more of a, because it's a ding, it's an idea, it's, you know, it's an exclamation point, it's an idea that's coming across through the body attitude, but it's perfect as it is, and then coming back down into what you have.
Perfect as it is.
And then the whole contemplative thing, looking at the pencil, I love that. There's thought process with that. I think you could play that up just a tad more.
But it's perfect as it is. I can't.
Because...
But it's perfect as it is.
His eye direction right now, don't look at this eye here. You're looking at this eye, it feels like he's looking over here. Don't look at this eye here. This is actually looking at the pencil. So eye direction's always, it's funny because you even could have locators on the eyeballs to say, well, he is looking exactly at that pencil. But if it's not playing that way to camera, you got to cheat those eyeballs, scaling them around, whatever you got to do just to get the offsetting eyes to be looking where you want to look, and get a clear read on this pencil, because that's telegraphing what is about to happen when you lift this hand up, that he's actually talking to the pencil. He's like, whoa, but it's all coming through here. And again, get those eyes there, having a little shift, a little idea, and then going into your next pose.
I can't.
And again, coming here where he's a little downtrodden. I can't. And instead of just coming up, perhaps this is another opportunity. Take this shoulder back, swing this shoulder forward. So you're just getting a little bit more frontal. Not much, but just enough to where we're going to see a little bit more of this arm perhaps. Clearing your hand of the silhouette with the pencil here. So that arm is going to have to shape up into this area. And again, maybe taking your head offline, or it's maybe it's getting that chin up, but it's breaking up instead of just the head kind of remaining kind of in this straight up and down, chin back type of attitude pretty much through the whole piece. You want to find those opportunities where you can break it up. And here's kind of like, well, I'm a little lost, I'm confused. Think of a dog when they look at you and you're like, huh, what do you want to do? There's just that instinctual when you're talking to somebody in a conversation. If they're not understanding what you're truly saying, watch their body language. What happens is there's automatically just sort of this head tilt. It's a way our bodies express to the other person. I don't quite understand. Even though I could be smiling, like nodding, like it's like instinctually the other person is knowing, okay, he's not quite getting it. Let me reiterate what's going on. This guy's searching right now. He doesn't understand what this problem with this director is. It's like, but it's with this pencil. So if you were to take his head offline just a little bit more this way, you know, actually, still keeping him looking in that direction, but it's a little bit more contrast to the shape going on in here, and it's still directional right to the pencil. It's just going to help your idea of confusion.
Rewrite what's perfect.
And then you could go back into, you know, turning back perhaps to the page, because you've come around maybe with the chest a little bit more into here, so you're more frontal, and then come back, but rewrite, you know, just as simple as that. Just the little rotations I'm talking about is here, like over here, and then up, coming right to, again, it's important, I think, to address back of where you started, because he is referring to this music right here.
I can't rewrite what's perfect. I can't rewrite what's perfect.
Now the only thing with rewrite that's perfect, I like what you got an expression change, a strong expression change happening in here. The body attitude, the head, the hand, it's all kind of evenly timed, just to break that up a little bit more. You know, your hand can definitely move quicker than, say, your body, so you might just look to get a little bit more contrast between your timing, between elements, say your hands and your head or chest. Not to say it always has to, but if things are kind of moving at the same time, the same pace, it's almost a metronome. And you're far from that, but in certain extreme cases, people who have timing that have kind of an even pace to it, has that metronome feel. There's no real contrast in it, and in blunt forms, it's boring. Your pace, your pace, and feeling both with the phrasing, all feels really nice. You have contrast within there. I'm just suggesting pumping up that contrast. So I think mechanically, you know, I'm looking at your stuff going, wow, there's not a whole lot I would change. Your arcs seem pretty clean. Your spacing seems good. It's really about the phrasing of the body and the attitude. Let me just look at your lip sync real quick too.
It's unbelievable. The director,
you know, for that, you know, you really might look to open up his mouth.
It's unbelievable.
Just to show, again, contrast between the little bit of dialogue and then just showing a reaction. You know, I like the fact that you're getting, you know, kind of these shape changes more than just open. You're kind of snarling on one side. You're getting contrast within the shapes, which is really nice. I think it just could be pushed a little further.
The director has actually torn up a huge section. Of my.
Now, section, again, there's that section, you know, really, it's not to say you never want to bring the jaw down necessarily there, but anything you could do to just show the contrast a little, maybe with smaller shapes.
A huge section.
Unfortunately, when I'm scrubbing, I can't hear your dialogue, but looking at where you're at here, you know, if this is the S, say, for section, just look at bringing the corners of your mouth a little bit more, and then slap them out, maybe a little bit broader, just so you have, you know, your corners. And then just going all the way back. Just so you have a little more of a section, just so you're feeling that pop happening. And do it quickly. Do it like in 1 or 2 frames, just because you want to feel and see that bang. Because when you hear that word section, it's a hard hit, and you want to really sell that. It's a little bit of tooth or anger behind that, and you really want to sell that.
Section of my music. But it's perfect as it is.
And we already talked about the B before that. But it's perfect. Really show that. But it's perfect before. It's perfect before I get that B working. Get that compression of the B really working.
I can't.
Now, one thing with this mouth shape here, I like the fact that you're exploring an expression, a little crunch on the mouth.
But it's perfect as it is.
But when I'm listening to the dialogue, but it's perfect as it is.
I can't
rewrite this music. The attitude kind of stays the same, and yet what that mouth shape shows me, it shows me something else. I think you're trying to get that thought process, and that is helpful, and that's helping that read. I'm not sure if that's the right choice for that point in time, because again, hearing the audio, it sounds like it's kind of one flavor, and to break out into this, show this, and then go back to that, it's really a feeling of an attitude change, and there's not a whole lot of time there to get that across. So again, I like the idea. Maybe just try toning it down a little bit, because it just doesn't quite feel like it's matching with what the dialogue is right now.
It's perfect as it is. I can't rewrite what's perfect.
And can't seems like you might be able to push that a little bit.
I can't.
That word, when delivered, can't. You really can go big with it, and typically A's, you can go broad with it. Again, just looking to pump up the contrast wherever you can. But by and large, your lip sync is really tight. It's nice. You have some good shapes working in here. There's not a whole lot more I would really play with there, I think.
Rewrite what's perfect?
It's working pretty well.
It's unbelievable.
And lastly, the I,
The director has actually torn up a huge section of my music. But it's perfect as it is. I can't rewrite what's perfect.
And then just one other attitude choice idea is there's anger, and then there's almost a sadness going on here, and he's talking about the director, but it's in reference to this music. So another idea is that you really play into that sheet of music. Like it gets angry with it, as with this hand kind of coming up at that one point.
It's unbelievable. The director has actually torn up a huge section of my...
Huge section. Maybe it's the fact that if here was my sheet music, it's like a huge section of my music. He's pissed off at it, and then at some point it's just like, but oh no, and then he kind of comes into the cradle it a little bit. These are different acting choices. It's just something to explore. It's utilizing the props that are there. It's playing around with it. What I've kind of described is taking what you have and just sort of pumped up that. It's basically a general note to say, as you're dealing with shots like this, metaphorically speaking, who is the character speaking to? In this case, it's the director, but the director is in reference to the music. So playing up against that sheet of music, literally and directly, might be a good acting choice to play with. But no, you got a really nice piece here. I think it's just all feeling just a tad safe. Break out of that. Get into a little bit more contrast, a little bit more strength of your poses, and I think you're going to have something that's really, really nicely done. Because again, the internalizing, just to feel that, and it's one of the toughest things in animation, is to get that idea across that the character's actually thinking. And if you have these transition points of attitude change, especially without dialogue, that you're able to bring across with the character through subtle little movements, subtle adjustments in posture, facial features, compression of fists, all that stuff will add up into, wow, this character's actually thinking, breathing, and acting, and that's what you're gunning for. So congratulations, great work. Hope these notes help, and keep up the fantastic work. We'll see more, I'm sure. All right, see you later.